All right, these are the answers for and how to solve for Review Preview 5.1.2. First one, you got to take decimals and make them into percents and a fraction. All right, so the first ones I'd probably make into fractions first. So you can see this first one here is 0.2. If you can read that correctly, you should be able to write it as a fraction, no problem. That 0.2 is also known as 2/10. If you read it like that, 2/10, that tells you what the fraction should be. Okay? And again, a percent is really easy if it's out of 100. So if I convert this to something out of 100, I need to multiply by the giant 1, in this case 10 over 10, because I want the denominator out of 100, because percents are always out of 100. I get 20, so I should know that that is 20%. Next one, 0.05. Again, in case you forgot, we have tenths, and the next place is hundredths, so that is 5 hundredths. So that's already out of 100, so we should know that is the same as 5%. Next one, 1.75. Well, I know I have a whole already, so I got one whole and 75 hundredths more. And most of you probably know this one just by looking at it, that it's 175%, because most of you are good with 75, 25, 50, because they're like quarters and money. This last one here is the one that tricks most people. Again, we have tenths, hundredths, thousands. So we have 2 thousandths. Okay, and most people struggle with what that's going to be as a percent. So a couple things we could do. We could, instead of multiplying to make it larger out of 100, in this case we actually have to divide, because we need 1,000 to get down to 100. So we'd have to divide by 10, or 10/10, and we get 100 on the bottom, and our top then becomes 0.2, which is the same as 0.2%. That is the first problem. And again, whenever you have a fraction, it is easiest to make it out of 100, so then you can easily find what the percent will be. Let me erase that. Multiplying fractions, a lot easier than adding or subtracting, because most of you remember that we can just multiply straight across. In case you forgot, we talked about yesterday how the word of means multiplication, especially with fractions, because it gets really confusing saying 3/4 groups of 5/8. Makes much more sense today. It's much more sense to say 3/4 of 5/8. So when we multiply, we should multiply straight across. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 8 is 32. That's the answer to the first one. The next one, I'll do this one over on this side. 2 times 3 is 6. 8 times 3 is 24. Again, we could simplify these, because I know both these are even numbers, so I can easily split these in half. So if I split them in half, divide them both by 2, obviously, that's splitting in half, I get 3 out of 12, and then, oh, I know, 3 goes into 12. 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 12 4 times. But I would completely accept 6/24 as well. 2 times 7, I'm going to do this one, whoop, down here. 2 times 7 is 14. 3 times 8 is 24 again. And again, I'm not going to simplify this one just to save a little bit of time. 4 times 3 is 12. 5 times 7 is 35. That's the answers to the second problem. Let me erase those. We'll go to the third one. Absolute value. These ones are tricky. Okay? So remember, look at what's inside first. So we have -5 plus a -2. That equals -6. But remember, absolute value means the distance from 0. And absolute value is always positive. We talked about how distance is always positive. Even if you go backwards in your car, you're still going positive distance. Absolute value of -6 is 6. Next one. This is one that likes to trick some of you. You have a negative sign on the outside. So don't worry about that right now. 2 times 4. You got my negative sign, absolute value of 8. Okay? Absolute value of 8 is obviously 8. But remember, we got that negative sign on the outside, which means opposite of. The opposite of 8 is -8. Next one, 3.5, and there's no operation there, but it's 3.5 times 8. Okay? So we should be able to know, well, 3 times 8 is 24, and half of 8 is another 4. So 24 plus 4 is 28. Okay? So you should know that that is 28. So that equals 28. Next one, 3 times 8. And again, absolute value of 8 is obviously 8, so it's 3 times 8 is 24. Next one. You're at -5.6. Looking at just what's inside the absolute value right now. You're at -5.6, and you're going to go 11 2/10 to the right, which means you're going to end up at 5.6 again, or 5 6/10. When you start here and go 11 2/10 to the right, you're going to end up at 5.6. So I'll put the absolute value in, 5.6 minus that, right? Obviously, 5.6 minus 5.6 gets us 0. And lastly, 6 minus 10 is -4, but since it's the absolute value, the answer is just 4. So here are your 4 answers for that third problem. Okay, moving on to I think this is the last one. We might have one more, I don't remember. Okay, oh, the ropes. All right, these are the keys here. It tells you how long each rope is. That is the whole key to solving these. First one, if this is 25 feet, and I know this is 10, I should know from here to here is whatever 25 minus 10 is, which in this case is 15. So I know from here to here is 15. There's 3 of them. I should do 15 divided by 3 is 5 for the first one. So each of these here are 5. Next one, same kind of a principle. We have 310. I know this is 10, so I'm going to minus 10 and get 300. Again, I have 3 of them. I have 3 x's, 3 unknowns, so I'm going to divide that by 3, and we should all know that 300 divided by 3 is 100. Lastly, 13. Again, they must have liked 10 for this problem because they're all 10 feet long. Minus 10, I get 3. In this case, I only have 2 of them, though. So I'm going to want to do 3 divided by 2, which is 1.5. So your answers for that one should have been 5, 100, and 1.5. All right. Last one. We went over these in class, or one similar to this in class, making a mixed number into an improper and vice versa. When we want to take that mixed number and make it improper, we have to go the whole number times the denominator, which in this case is 55, because that tells us there are 55 11ths in 5 wholes. Then we're going to add those other 3 11ths from the numerator to get a total of 58 11ths. Right? For the second one here, I want to think of how many times 4 goes into 49. We'll do this one in a different color so it stands out. I know 4 times 10 is 40. So 4 times 11 is 44. 4 times 12 is 48. So I know it goes in there 12 times, and do not put remainder 1. Okay? If 4 times 12, and I'll put that over here, is 48, I know I need 1 more to make 49. So it's 1/4. Okay? Notice the denominators for both of these right now are staying the same. Your denominator should stay the same. We talked about this. Next one. Again, this is just like number 1. 3 times 20 is 60. So there are 60 20ths in 3 wholes. Plus that other one that we have from the numerator, we get a total of 61 out of 20. 20. There we go. And last one, 100 goes into 600. We should know that that should be 6 wholes. And obviously 100 times 6 is 600. So we have 3 left over. So it's 6 and 3 100ths. Those are the answers to Review Preview 5.1 Point two, and how to solve them.